are live.
Yes, sir.
Do not see any indication that we're not.
That's a bet. What's up? What's
Good
up,
enough for
people?
me.
What's up, people? How y'all doing, man?
What's up?
We are back today for what is this, episode 120?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
120, man. Hey, man, that's a lot. That's a lot.
That'd be
Moving.
interesting when we get to episode 420.
I know, right? Oh, that's gonna be a whole celebration.
It'll be interesting.
We might just
Yo.
do it audio because there's gonna be a big old cloud. They gonna miss us
They won't be,
anyway.
yeah.
They gonna be
They'll
like,
think it's just audio.
Right.
Just be one big old cloud. Hate smoke. You know what? What's that stuff
pretty
that
cool.
people do to calm them down? That'll be ours. Just look at the screen of niggas
Right.
smoking with smoke.
Oh,
ASMR.
Just sit there, just
ASMR.
look at the smoke in the screen and listen, and that's saying you'll be nice and calm and shit.
Hey.
And if you blaze one, shush, you really gonna be right there with us.
Right.
ASMR,
Daily smoke
Right.
ASMR, man. But what's up, people? Glad y'all back, man. How y'all doing out there in YouTube land?
Right
Here you go.
Man, I appreciate y'all for being here. I'm your boy, Big Ruck.
Brother Los.
Brother Roy. Brother Jam.
Your boy Bishop.
We
And
are the Daily Smoke.
man, and
Yes,
we're gonna tackle something today, man. Y'all know how we do. We're gonna have a little conversation first, but we're gonna get into something that we touched on a long time ago. Some of the earlier episodes of the Daily Smoke, man, and those of you that have been here since day one, I know y'all will remember. And we actually touched on it a few times, but we had this one episode that really dove into it, and that's police brutality. So we kind of talk about, you know, how how it looks now versus when we discussed it then. Some of the cases we talked about, things like that, you know, and see what the status of it is looking like today, man. That's a bet. So, what's up, everybody, man? Everybody good?
Good, man. Good.
Cool.
Chilling, man. Chilling, doing our thing.
Man, John was talking about something before we went live. It was like, man, you got to mention that during the show, man.
Oh, the coughing thing.
Okay.
Which is appropriate, I guess.
Right,
You know?
right.
Hey, actually, yeah. But the thing that I was talking about was they have these coffins now that are made out of mushrooms. It's like basically the mycelium, which is the roots, kind of the equivalent of roots for mushrooms. But most people, when you think of mushrooms, you think of, you know, the things we see growing in our yard or something like that. But that's the fruit of the mushroom. The main body of the mushroom is usually underground somewhere, and that's the mycelium. It's like the roots, but it's actually the main part of the thing. So what they do is they take this stuff and they grow it into a form where it's basically can hold a body. And so once it's shaped and everything, it's sturdy like wood. Put the person into it, you don't embalm them or do any of that kind of stuff, and then what you do is you just bury them in the ground, and that mycelium will basically use their body as fuel, and it'll decay that body way faster than a body would decay normally on its own. So you basically get recycled.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
How
When I
cool
heard
is
about
that?
it, I was like, okay. Now the interesting part though is it's not legal everywhere.
Why?
Some states have very specific laws on how you can be buried.
I'm listening.
Texas I know a few years ago, because I actually used to work in the funeral business for a little bit. Texas has some laws that changed probably about 5 years ago, where you can have more green funerals is what they call them. You have a few more green options, but hell, some places you can literally have it okay to just bury your naked body in the ground, in a hole in the ground, as long as it's dug deep enough.
What?
Oh, yeah. It just depends on where you live.
That's what I want. Don't spend no money.
That's what I'm doing.
Look, all you need to do is pay a couple of dudes to dig the hole. That's about it.
That's it.
You
Go to
know?
Home Depot, you'll find two for $20, 6 feet.
You used to work in the funeral business for real?
I worked in collections, but it was for a funeral business.
Ooh.
So I learned a little bit about some of the things that you could do with the funeral industry, because I dealt with the prepaid funeral part of it. So it's basically when you want to pay for everything all in advance, you know, and believe it or not, a lot of people do it. You know, I mean, and it's not just people who might be ill or something like that, but just as a way to make sure that your family don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You take care of it. Put that shit on a payment plan and pay $50 a month until it's paid off, and you can, and can't nobody dispute what you want because you picked it out yourself.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Now, what would be interesting though is when people wouldn't finish paying for their plans, but then they die. Because I mean, it's the funeral business, so they try to work with people, and they wind up putting people in the ground, and then folks are like, I ain't paying that bill.
That was gonna be my next question.
Oh,
man.
we had to hunt folks down, man.
For real.
Oh man, skip tracing and everything. I'm trying to tell you, it because I mean, ultimately, the worst ones was when you was calling them when it was recent, like within a year, you know, and you got to call and say, hey, you know, we know you just buried Pawpaw, but you haven't paid his bill in a year, so we need to have a talk. And those were the ones that were tough.
What if the individual that passed was the individual that set up the prepayment plan? Does that debt die with them, or is it transferred to the family?
It's not really transferred to the family unless they have an estate. Okay. If they have any kind of money, then there's legal ways that they can go and get the money from the estate before the family can get their money.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that.
Because if you die with debt, but you have like you leaving something to your kids or whoever, then that money can be I forgot the word. Yeah, used to take care of your debt before your family gets your family would basically get whatever's left.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Fuck that. Now, you know what? When you die, everything dies with you. No debt, no nothing. You were the dumbass that gave an 80-year-old dude a 30-year mortgage. You deal with that shit. You knew that motherfucker was going to last 110.
So you don't think they should come get the house?
Nope. That should just be a loss, right?
Hey,
but
took
you know,
that gamble like he did.
Imagine if
interestingly enough,
knew that, and that's how it was.
Mama, let's buy a house before you die.
Everybody would be getting.
Interestingly enough, you can actually include insurance policies.
Whoa.
On like it happened when my stepdad died in high school.
Yeah.
Part of the insurance that they had on the car that they had just bought was that if somebody died before the car was paid off, the insurance paid it off.
Right.
So we got a truck basically with a paid off note. That's how I got my first car, because my mom was like, I don't want it, you can drive it.
Yeah.
And so I got my first vehicle because he passed away and the insurance paid it off. You can do that with houses.
Right.
So you
really?
you can add that as a part of the insurance. Of course, you're gonna pay more in your premiums to have it, but you can include that shit. So if you die, the insurance will just straight cover it.
Hey man, we had a lot of good adventures in that in that truck, dog.
Hey man, that truck was legendary, dude. That truck was legendary. I thought you knew.
I bet you they figured it out for black people. I bet you they figured that out for black people. Or am I being racist or prejudiced? What am I being honest?
Let's make it so they can't do this.
And I heard this from a white person. They said, you want to know how to end police, tied into what we talking about, police killing black folks? Every black person should go get like a $200,000-$300,000 life insurance policy. Every single one of us. And he said the bottom line would be is that insurance companies hire the best lawyers because they hate to pay. And if they having to start to pay all these policies out because cops keep killing us, they're gonna start they're gonna find a way to take these police to court.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Now the city pays.
Yeah,
one of your
because they're not gonna, and it's gonna start
they
costing cities too much money.
They finna cut this fee.
Well, in the hood? What?
Some trigger words are they're already on it.
My old man told me something like that, man. He said, Ron, man, Dad Avery, man.
Yeah.
He said, Ron, man, you want to stop this? He told me this in the late 90s, man.
Yeah.
He said, you want to stop all of this crime and black on black killing and all that kind of stuff in the hood? Go to the hood. And I didn't know if he got it from Boys in the Hood, and he was expounding on it, or because he was in finance. That's how his mind thinks. Yeah. He said, man, everybody take out $1 million policy on their kid from the time that they're young, so the premium won't be that high. So then by the time they're 16, you see this epidemic hitting. Hey man, Morgan Stanley would knock on your door and be like, man, how can we help y'all?
Yeah.
Because you're paying out a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I think we would just take it right back to them.
But you know what? The interesting part about it, and this is my theory, of course, But I think the interesting part about that is, yeah, you're gonna have some who will run right through it.
Yeah.
But if you have it happening all over the place,
Yeah.
in the numbers that we was down, like say back in the 90s,
Yeah.
you know, some of it's gonna stick.
I feel that.
Enough of it'll stick that I
feel
think
that.
it could make a difference. You get
I feel that.
out of 10 families, you give each one of $1 million. 5 of them gonna run through that shit. Two of them might hold on to it for a little while, but they'll eventually burn it out. But there's gonna be 3 that make that money work for them.
You know, it's a lot of black people in the industry that sell those type of insurance policies and stuff.
My
You know
nephew.
what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot of black people in those industries. And think about it, man. If they were to do that and make one of the stipulations, you have to go through a class and learn, like a financial class to learn what you should and shouldn't do with that money, and educate them that now that you're buying this for your child, when they get a certain age, in order for this policy to be valid, they have to take this same class.
I feel that.
I think that would help a whole lot.
I feel that. Absolutely.
And those black companies should make that a rule.
I feel
You know
that.
what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Fiscal responsibility. I feel
Exactly.
We need in our community. We definitely need more. Well, in America in general, but definitely in the minority communities, we need more financial education. White folks have done this stuff for generations, and we need something that can at least level the playing field. And it wouldn't do it, but it wouldn't do it completely. But like I said, I think enough of it would stick to where you start to see a difference. You get a few generations down the road, and you got some black folks that own some property and got a little money in the bank. We become a force to be reckoned with.
You know what also you're gonna see?
More rims.
You're gonna see kids killing you're gonna see parents killing their kids to get their money.
Right?
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I mean, it happens. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
With other
People
groups.
kill-
So,
right,
yeah,
right.
it happens. It
People
happens.
kill their kids for less.
For Christ.
It happens.
Because they mad, they crying too much. Shit like that.
You
You
know?
know what I'm saying? They got $1 million sitting. They got bills. And
But you
that
gotta-
little bastard making them mad.
But you also have to think about
They're
it
gonna
though.
mess up and not make an accident, get caught, and get nothing.
Hey,
You know.
people take chances with insurance
That's what you
policies
say.
all the time, dog.
You have to get away with it.
What's
Towards
up,
work.
Will? My
Hey,
bad,
what's
man.
up, Will? No. But you have to get away with it, and that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only asked
But
them to get
people
the
do
big,
it.
the
People
boat way up
try
there.
it all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get caught, sometimes they don't.
Like I asked him to grab
What
the pop
was
from
that
up there, and
chick
he fell.
from Florida, Casey Anthony, the one who killed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
killed
was
the
pretty.
kid. And she got away with it though. She
Crazy.
didn't get to really do no jail time as far as I know.
Yeah.
You know, she convicted in the court of public opinion, but
Right.
the court let her off.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about Casey Anthony.
yeah, nobody talks about that case anymore. That's what.
Right?
Oh man,
It's
shit,
been a minute.
about 10, 15 years or something like
Yeah.
that.
Been that long?
Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
minute, man.
It
It's
don't
been a
seem
minute.
like it's been that long, but it has.
It's been a minute, man.
Hey, we've been around a minute, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah. Which reminded me when we was talking about, you know, like doing this show as a continuation of a thing we started before. Man, did you see when we covered this material last year?
I tried to find it. I couldn't figure out which episode it was.
I think it was like around March or so.
Okay.
Somewhere up in there.
March of last year.
Yeah, somewhere up in there. Maybe off by
So then
30
I think
days
I went
before.
too far back because I went way far back.
Oh, you went to the Daily Smoke. Oh, you went there. You went there. Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
went way back
Yeah.
with the soundboard.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. Exactly. That's right. That's right. He ain't talking about shit.
What we gonna do to him?
Hey, Greg sitting there looking like animals.
Oh man.
Yeah, man.
Oh Lord Jesus, Mary Casey and
But
Georgia.
come to that point, man. Like when we talked about police brutality, you know, I didn't realize, man, until we started really delving into the material. It's been 2 years since old George Floyd was killed.
Right? right?
Does it feel like it to y'all, man?
Nah, man.
Nah, because it still happened.
Doesn't.
Because it lasted so long, the cop didn't get. It was almost a year and a half later that the cop got arrested.
Right.
So that means we were George Floyd for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Because they just convicted the other 3.
Right.
Right.
They just now convicted the other 3.
Right.
Well, I think it was the end of last month.
Yeah.
Right.
End of February. Yeah.
Right.
Black
Right.
History Month. They gonna get at to us.
Give them one.
Hey, here's another one.
We gotta give them something,
That's right.
Let that go.
man.
Y'all know Floyd right up the street, right?
Yeah, at everybody's cemetery.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah.
Floyd right up the
That's
street,
where they
man.
buried him at?
Yeah, right. Literally right up the street, man. Well, like when we was watching, you know, they had the funeral and all of that.
Yeah.
We was watching, I'm like, man, that look familiar. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, they going down Cullen? What?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, for real, like, he died in Minnesota. What he doing? And then
Right.
all of a sudden you start seeing footage, man, like on YouTube, George Floyd in videos with Scarface. I was like,
Right,
I didn't
right.
know he was that in. You know, so Floyd was one of us big time.
Yeah,
I didn't know
he
that.
was our age.
Yeah, you know what I
He
mean?
was our
He
age,
was
yeah.
one of us,
Yeah.
man. I did not know that.
Literally, I
didn't know that.
think if I remember right, he went
God
to
bless
Yates. He
Yes.
went to Yates.
Yes.
And so,
Right.
you know,
They did
if
something
that's
right.
just the other side of the hood
Right.
from where we
Right.
grew up.
Right.
So it's just like
Right.
if different set of circumstances, we'd have known it.
Right.
That's right.
And probably knew some people who know. I
We
know
definitely-
some
we
people who
definitely
know.
people who know.
I've already
Yeah,
had a
some
few of my people
Really?
tell me that they knew him personally.
Yeah.
Really?
So yeah, one degree away, man.
Yeah,
Wow.
1 degree away.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that just goes to show you. I remember when I was young, I used to think about how, I probably never lived to see 25. I probably never lived to
I know,
see
man.
30 because, you know, so many people that I just knew back then either turned up dead, wound up in jail, or, you know, any combination of those. And so it was like when I finally started to realize, like, okay, man, I made it into my 40s, you know. I should be good now. I'm over my stupid phases. I ain't doing nothing dangerous, you know, for just no damn reason.
Yeah.
You know, I'm past that. No, bro, you still not safe.
You know
You're
what,
still
man?
not safe.
When I was younger, all of the dumb shit I did a lot of dumb shit.
I
did
want
lot
to
of
tell a
dumb
story.
shit. Man.
I want to tell a story so bad.
I
want you to finish, man. So since he
wait,
said-
let me say what I was gonna
Sure,
say.
absolutely.
Oh,
You got
look,
it.
Burley.
But-
He was known as Big
Yeah,
Perry back
yeah.
then.
But you know, man, out of all of the dumb shit I did back then, I never once thought, man, I might not make it to 25. I always thought, man, I wonder what it's gonna be like when I get 50, when I get 60. You know what I'm saying? I always thought like that, man. I guess I thought I was invincible, bro. I don't know. I felt invincible.
That's the thing. We did.
Yeah.
Even me and Ralph used to talk about it all the time. It's
Yeah.
like, oh man, we probably. But at the same time, I wasn't living like I thought I was gonna, die.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
still just going out and doing my thing.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like, oh yeah, I'm probably gonna wind up doing some dumb shit to get me killed.
Now, it's been times when I'm in the middle of a situation and I was like, ooh, I might not make it out of this. that has been the case a few times. But just generally thinking, I never thought about it like that,
I
man.
never thought that.
Go ahead, man. You either?
No, I never thought of it like
Come
I'm
on,
just
Rod.
doing what I'm doing. And I never even thought what I would be like when I'm old. I was just waiting to get there.
Yeah.
I'm living now. Keep going. I never thought,
I thought
man,
about
I'm
what
not
it
gonna
would be
make.
like.
Now, when I got a little older, I started thinking, damn, will I make 60?
Yeah.
Right.
Now that's the
Yeah.
first time I ever thought, will I make a yay? I said, man, will I make 60? I hope so. Let's see what happens. I'm getting closer to it now. So, but other than that, all the shit I did, I never thought about, man, I won't make it to 20. I won't make it. I figured, fuck it. My thought was more, I hope I am 30, 40 doing this stupid shit still.
I feel that.
You know what I'm
I feel that.
saying?
I
Shit,
feel
I'm trying to
that.
live a
I
long
feel
time.
that. I feel
I'm
that. I
trying to live
feel
a long
that.
time. I want to do this for a long time. I'm having fun.
For real.
Uninterrupted success.
Right.
Huh?
For real.
And I'm not gonna try to do nothing to stop it either.
Right on,
No
right on.
too stupid shit.
Man, I guess I would tell this little stupid story backwards first. Like for me, I'm kind of opposite you, man.
Okay.
Like I never really thought about like if I'd get to 30, because at the time we was doing that kind of dumb stuff. Hammer was 30, and we was like 16 and 15.
Right.
So when we first found out that Hammer was 30 years old, you had just as well said Hammer was like 95. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's just
Right.
how
That's
far
how far we
removed.
had seen,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Right.
Okay, so whenever And I've had guns pulled on me plenty of times. I can name about 3 off the head. And every time that would happen, I go into black man mode. You know what I mean? Like, hey, brother, we got to stick together. But when he left with the gun, you know, and I'm with Devin and Bobby and, you know, Jonathan and everybody, you know, we got the coats on, we all rolling deep, we hard. You know what I'm saying? But when them guns come out, you ain't got no guns because your mom don't play that. Hey, brother, you know, we have to go there. I want a guy that's alive and no jail.
You got diplomatic all of a sudden.
You know what I mean? Exactly, man. Beans,
up.
pies just coming off of my body.
Nowhere.
Absolutely.
Ron diplomatic side
No,
came out
for
real fast.
For real. You know what I mean? I pulled out Malcolm X autobiography. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do that,
brother,
man.
man,
Don't shoot me. You know.
You're playing into the man's hands.
You know what I'm saying?
If you're killing your brother.
But, you know, like the man said, he said, man, when we was doing stupid stuff when I was younger, man, I wouldn't think about that. Let me tell you about one of them stupid times talking about it.
Okay, come on.
Do y'all remember King's Flea Market?
Of course.
Do y'all
Lived in
remember
that
King's
place.
Flea Market used to sell baseball shirts that
Yes.
looked like the Yankees?
Yes.
Okay. Back in the day, now, here's the context. Back in the day, you know, we saw boys in the hood, but we identified with menace to society.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So everybody want to be hard. You know, we got old dogs. See, Burley right there.
Right.
See, I ain't even reading.
Yeah.
See, and it's delayed. We all on the same
Right.
page.
Right.
So here
Right,
we go.
'cause you
You
ain't
know what I mean?
even-
Exactly. So we on the
Right.
same page. And Burley went to Sterling.
Right.
In South Park.
Exactly.
Which is where I want to go with
And
this.
which is finish the story.
That's where I want to go with
Finish the
this.
story, yeah.
So we go South Park Law,
Right.
the rap group.
Right.
I want to say what I really want to say, but you know, we got multiple, you know, ethnicities in this, you know,
Yeah.
black people. And see, so black people, we got together. We went to King's Flea Market and got South Park, you know, on the shirts.
Right.
This dummy. Now, mind you, nothing happened, but you really did escalate things. People.
I'm proud of you, man.
I said, hey man, we had to go pick up somebody from school. He was the only one that had a car old enough to drive at that. He was like, yeah, we finna go to Yates. All right, but we got on South Park shirts.
Oh yeah, I
Okay, I
remember
think
that.
I remember that.
You was with. I bet you was with us, man. Vincent, I know
remember
Vincent
that.
was with us. I know.
We went to go get Jalise.
Bam.
So you know the incident.
So we
you're talking
walking through. Now I gotta give it to him. The boy bold. I wouldn't have did it. The boy bold. You know what I mean? Give him his lines, man.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
I
I think
remember
that was a very, very dumb decision.
Right.
Because we are walking
It was.
in the heart
Right.
of Third Ward with South Park shirts on.
dog. I remember
And the school we're at is our school's
rival.
rival.
That's our
So
rival.
we double deep into niggerism. You understand?
And I'm going to pick up one of they girls.
You know what I'm and both of them light skinned. Everybody else, you know what I'm saying? About to lose 7 to 8 dark skins,
Hey,
maybe
dog.
2 lights. You know what I mean? This whole situation is all wrong for everybody involved.
This is a recipe for just
You know
terrible
That's a true
things.
I would
story.
never thought about that again.
I know you
I
wouldn't.
remember that
I know you
conversation
wouldn't.
now. Them niggas-
Almost killed my
I
mama on his
remember
son.
that shit. I remember that. That's crazy.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
man, that's a true story, man. That's a true story.
Jesus.
But to that point, y'all, I'm the cool. You know, I know we're having fun. It's true, but I know we're having fun. But, you know, let's start the show out from this point because I know everybody got a lot of good information they want to present, man. Where do y'all think we stand in the last 2 years since Brother Floyd and Breonna and, you know, countless others' lives that were lost at the hands of police specifically? Where do y'all think we are now in terms of policing and race relations and the judicial system? I know it's a lot of different things, but what do y'all feel about that?
I don't really think too much has changed, man. I think there's a bigger awareness.
Okay.
But I don't really think too much has changed, man. You know, you may have cops that may slightly think a little bit more, you know what I'm saying, before they do whatever they're gonna do. It may pop up in the back of their mind a little more, you know, maybe I need to be a little cautious or do this a little differently or whatever the case is.
Bring your voice up.
But I don't know, man. I don't really think it has changed that much. I really don't.
Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think it has either. I mean, you had a couple of court cases go through, and I'll be fair. You've seen some pockets of improvement,
Right.
a few states,
Right.
and there's even in some states just a few cities that have changed some of the things that their police departments are doing and how they allocate funds and things like that. But realistically speaking, nothing's really changed. Even the damn law that they tried to get passed that was named after George Floyd, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act,
Yeah.
passed the House, couldn't make it through the Senate because of the damn filibuster.
Really?
You can't get 60 votes on that because Republicans ain't finna vote for it. So we can't really get anything. We can't make any headway because in this country, if you can't make if it's not a law, it doesn't matter. You know, and we have to we need to have a federal standard set for those kind of laws. We got federal hate crimes, which is for some reason the hardest thing in the world to prove, but as far as like something as far as dealing with the actual policies and standards that police have, we don't even have a solid nationwide network to report bad cops. That's what they call them. They literally have a name for them. They're called wandering cops. That's what they call them. So basically, a cop here in Houston, you fuck up, do something real bad, kill somebody, run somebody over, whatever. You do something bad, you get fired. You just go to Louisiana and you can become a cop all over again.
That's true. That's right.
And Louisiana doesn't even bother to check on what your policing record was in Texas or why you got fired. They just know, oh, you were a cop before, cool, you got the qualifications, let's go.
Yeah.
And they literally do this. So we don't even have a nationwide database that reports these kind of cops for doing this kind of stuff and keeps them from being able to become cops again. What's changed? How is our situation any better now than it was 2 years ago?
Burley said, still in limbo. I think he was talking about what you were talking about earlier. He said still in
George
limbo,
Floyd thing.
and then he said especially in the state, that the current state of Ukraine with all that going on. And then
And I
he
hear
said,
about that shit.
he thinks they just passed the anti-lynching act.
What you think about that, Lowe's?
What's that?
The question.
I have no clue what that is.
No. The question though, have things changed?
Oh,
or how
you
do
know what?
feel?
No, like I said, I really don't. I don't watch the news too much.
Okay.
I try to disassociate myself from those
I feel
things.
that.
I don't get out a lot.
I feel that.
So I see what I see when I'm looking at certain things and those newsreels. Okay, I'm keeping up with it a little bit, but I'm not into it that deep. Because it's gonna happen no matter what. As long as there's humans being cops, it's gonna happen, regardless of who they're killing more than others.
And
From what I researched, there's more states that it's gone down than there is those that went up, and then there's a few that just stayed the same. So it is going by those numbers a year later. Okay, maybe it is getting better. There are more states that it hasn't happened as much. And then what you had said, that cop wasn't thinking. So they gotta learn that. But maybe we've learned that too.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned not to get out our car talking shit because they might kill me. So we try to chill out, but they
half
still
the time,
do it.
That don't matter. You can,
No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
But that could be part of it too. People that would have
Right,
did
in the
something like
numbers,
that might have just chilled for a minute, like,
right,
okay, it's the cop.
Absolutely,
Maybe he's thinking, hey man, you know what's going on. Let's do what we have to do. Is ticket. Okay, cool. See you. Thank you. And drive the fuck away. So in both sides, and I guess some cops have been doing it, and then some people have been doing it in certain states. Other states, like I said, it's different everywhere. But as long as we have people doing that, it's always going to be that. Even if it's not a racist thing, it's just I'm a cop. You're acting. I'm the law.
The
You
power
gotta do what I have to. Come on, man. You said I can do this to make sure people like you don't do what you do. Now do what. Come on, man.
I really think that's really probably the biggest issue. That power thing, and then when you bring race into it, that just adds
to
it.
It just adds to it.
But
it makes it even worse.
Here's the thing: in the last 3 years, cops have pretty much kept a steady pace on their number of murders per year. In 2019, it was 1,096. 2020, it was 1,127. And then in 2021, it was 1,134. Now that's just number of people that were murdered by cops. There's no judgment on whether they should have been killed or shouldn't have been killed. That's just the raw numbers. But they averaging about 3 people per day for the last 3 years.
Right.
Wow.
3 people per day.
And the son, you are absolutely right. I agree with you 100% though. That's true.
Right. I missed what
What
he
do you
said.
agree with specifically about what he said?
He said there's no difference. I mean, there's a difference in the way they treat their own people versus us.
Right.
And I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree with that too. Because we don't even get a second chance. We don't get a first chance in some cases, and we've seen that on film. You know, what was it? The kid. I can't think of his name. There have been so damn many. But
Right.
it was the kid. The cops rolled up on him, and within like a few seconds, they shot him, and all he had was a toy gun. But he was a
Tamir
kid.
Rice.
Tamir
Right,
Rice. Okay, he was a kid in a playground playing.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you know, or that other one where it was a guy holding a toy gun that he was buying in Walmart, and he was in Walmart.
Right.
They called the police on him saying, "Oh, there's a black guy with a gun."
Right.
Nigga, you're Walmart. Y'all sell them.
Right. Right.
But we don't get a chance. We don't get a chance. You know what, Burley? I actually do want to go to the lynching museum.
Montgomery.
As emotional as taxing as I know that trip will be, I actually do want to go there and see it. But yeah,
Yeah.
we don't get a chance.
You know what, man? We ought to take a daily smoke trip to some places like that, man. You know what I'm saying? We ought to take a trip to some places like that and do an episode from there, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Shoot
right.
some footage from there, man. And yeah, man, I think we ought to start doing stuff like that.
That'd make a good Friday show one day.
Yeah.
sometime.
Yeah, man, most definitely.
Possibly. Or hell, one of our
What do you
Tuesday
think,
Thursday
Warren?
shows.
I have a soliloquy I want to sing, but I want to hear y'all verses first. So, you know, but again, it's actually related. What I have to say is nothing new. You may just not know it, but it's nothing new.
Right.
And it actually combines a lot of what everyone and every single person that has, you know, typed something on the message board has said. So it's almost like we're building a pizza and we're all adding our own ingredients.
Yeah.
You know. I asked Losa before the show started some of the information he wanted to cover. And then I asked Devin what he wanted to cover. And I think they really work in conjunction. I would like to hear, like, because I know you want to bring us in what your research, you know, where it brought you to. And then I think maybe if you don't mind, maybe you could follow a jam.
that's
But
fine.
I think
Yeah,
if you
that's
follow,
fine.
I think that'll paint a very fair, comprehensive picture of what we're talking about.
Okay. Basically, in a future episode, we're going to talk about something called suicide by cop.
Yeah.
And me and Ron were talking earlier, and one of the things, you know, that in that episode, in that topic, that correlates with this topic, is just if you look at the amount of times that cops write a report and say that it was a suicide by cop situation, doesn't necessarily mean that that's exactly what happened.
True.
So it shouldn't surprise any of us that if there's 100 reports that say this incident, this person was killed by a police officer because it was a suicide by cop situation, that there's a number of those situations that were not actually suicide by cop.
Station alert has arrived.
So
They listening to us.
right.
Like,
So
what he say?
right. So I think that plays directly into what we were saying today, because that puts that into police brutality. You know what I'm saying?
True.
It falls
So-
right in line with that.
Basically, the cops are hiding their murder behind saying it was a
Exactly.
suicide by cop.
Exactly.
I wonder how those get investigated. You know, how thoroughly those get investigated. And that's one of the things that and looking up, you know, one of the main things that you see proposed over and over again from different cities, different states, is independent review boards for police officers. Right now, you have internal affairs, which is cops investigating cops.
Right.
Of course, even if you find them doing something wrong, there's still a chance you might cover it up, you know, just to keep the public image of the police force healthy and good in people's eyes or whatever. So, nah. I heard somebody say, you know, what is it? There's a abbreviation that they have now. It's called ABCAP. All cops are bastards.
I hope female watching.
Oh Lord!
I'm just
Drive
saying.
slow on 45 to Galveston, boy. Drive slow.
This is what I heard. Okay. And when the guy said, well, wait a minute, isn't that being a bit, you know, extreme? He was like, because I know some good cops. It's like everybody knows a good cop. You say, but all good cops know bad cops. And how many of those good cops are reporting them?
Exactly.
So if that's the case, we all know bad cops.
Say, my brother, I made that same point
A year ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that episode.
Exactly.
On that episode.
Exactly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, man.
Because if you a good cop, quote unquote, and you know this cop over here is doing some foul shit and you don't report it,
You're not a good
just
cop.
because you don't do bad shit,
You're not a good cop.
that makes you not a good cop at all,
Yeah.
man. You sitting right next to that one.
But those three dudes with Chauvin found out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
sadly,
how
out of
many
a slew of them, they're probably some of the very few
that'll ever actually get punished.
Exactly.
And we still don't know what their sentence is going to be yet. They just been convicted.
Yeah.
I mean, because for me, it's like if you see your partner, you just killed that dude.
Right.
Your next move should be drop the gun, brother. I
Right.
gotta put you under arrest, man.
Exactly.
But you're
That's
gonna end
how
up
it
killing
should
each
be.
other. But you're gonna
That's how it
because
should
there's no
be.
way he's gonna let you turn him in.
But you
y'all
know why
see-
that
you
cop
know.
not gonna do it?
You know.
Because he got three other cops
Because-
standing around
right.
him, and all three of them not gonna be thinking
Right.
like him.
Right.
And did y'all see the one? It was a video came out a few months back. I think it was in Louisiana somewhere, if I'm remembering right. But it was a female cop tried to stop a white
that.
cop from.
Saw
I think he
that.
was like choking a
Saw
black
that.
Yes.
kid.
Yes.
And then when
Yes.
when she tried to pull him off, he turned around and choked her. Like, bitch, how dare you?
Right.
You know, and he wound up getting in trouble because that got filmed, and of course he tried to harm another cop, but it just so happened to be a black female cop at that. So it's just like, man, come on.
See that on film? That's you. See you bye. You can't be a cop no more because you
Yeah.
got anger issues,
Yeah.
especially with black people. So.
And you should not be able to be a cop anywhere
Nowhere.
on the face of this
Right.
planet.
Not a cop. Go get a different job.
Period.
They say 40% of cops abuse their wives, or have been convicted of domestic abuse,
You know
or
what-
have issues with domestic abuse.
You know
that's
what that-
40% of cops.
You know what that makes me worry about? What the hell kind of psych evaluations are you putting these people through before you allow them to run the streets with that type of authority and a deadly weapon on their hip?
But they didn't start that way. That's
Right.
what got their minds
Right.
fucked up. I'm out here every day at any given time. I gotta get shootout with some motherfuckers that want to die. I might end up dying.
You get PTSD
You know what I'm
after you
saying?
leave the jungle, not before you go in. And they're testing them before they go in.
Yeah.
So do
And they're not
So they're
paying
good, it's
attention.
good.
They're not considering
You know?
what's going on in terms of long hours and occupational stress
Right.
and that kind of stuff.
10 years later,
So
I'm
I mean, they
tired.
do,
I'm
but
let me
don't.
scared.
ask you a
Plus, I'm
question. Let me
scared.
ask you a
Shit.
question. From your knowledge as a psychologist, right?
I'm not that, but okay.
Okay. Well, in psychology, your knowledge as a psychology major.
I mean, I
right?
treat Los, but that's about it. You don't consider that. You
So-
know?
Now you know what? I treat you.
when they
That's true. That's true. You give me my
You
meds.
know
That's
what's
true.
funny?
That's
You know
true.
what's funny? Yesterday when you hung up, give me a call later. And he said, "What's that about?" I said, "Oh, I'm his therapist."
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Ed used to give me meds. I got off my
You know what I'm
meds.
saying? Yeah, I was able to get you off meds. You know, I was able
Trying to
get
be a
you off
productive
meds,
citizen.
you know,
Right.
and,
What's your question,
Right.
brother?
Do you know if like when they put a person through those psych evaluations, right? Is that supposed to, or maybe it's both? Is that supposed to tell you, are they stable now, or do they have the potential to be unstable in the future?
I don't know. I never did that, man. I covered that for military nor law enforcement. I only did that in terms of individuals having to be psychologically evaluated for certain jobs that were I think they were called C-level managers.
Okay.
And their jobs, you're dealing with like corporations now, like, are you a good fit to run a corporation and all of the stresses that are involved in that regard? And they don't do only personality tests. They don't also do only character tests, but they also give you something called the MMPI, the Minnesota Multiphasic Indicator. And what that does is it combines all of that together. In addition, it's called MMPI. It also looks for any kind of trace of any kind of psychosis or emotional instability, that kind of stuff. So I can only imagine, at least I would hope, that on the exit process of the military, you know, they do the exit interviews and they try to reacclimate them back into society if you've been, you know, in war situations, or cops that are doing 20 years in volatile situations like South Chicago or what have you. I would only hope that would be a part of it, you know, because it should pick up whatever's going on. And it's not necessarily reflective of your stability and worth and character as an individual. It's just anyone subjected to a high degree of stress in any environment, there are certain consequences that the body and the mind is going to show. So the answer, that's a long way of answering your question. I don't know regarding law enforcement, brother. I just don't know.
But it would be interesting. I would imagine from the cops that I've known personally, like it's not something I've ever heard mentioned. As far as you might take something like that at the beginning, but you would imagine with something like being a police officer, like you said, in a high stress environment, dangerous, you would need to have that revisited every few years at least. You know, just kind of see where you are and see if you still handling the stress of the job well, and you know, they could recommend maybe you need a desk job if stuff is getting bad. So, but it would be, there really needs to be a complete reform as far as how cops themselves are selected and what's acceptable. We have one of the shortest training periods for anybody in the world as far as like how much time our cops spend in training.
And they only have to have a high school diploma, right?
Right.
That's problem number one.
That's exactly.
That is problem number one. Because if you're gonna be enforcing the law, you should know the law.
Exactly.
And that, like on a lot of these things that you're seeing now, it's cops getting caught because they don't even know the law. You asking people for their ID when they don't have to show you your ID, and then when they don't give it to you, you charge them with resisting or obstructing, and that's illegal. So if you got the film, nowadays a lot of folks are suing cops for cases like that.
But you know, man, even more than just knowing the law, I think when you give the ability to someone who only has a high school diploma to be a police officer, you're basically giving someone who has less life experience than most of the people that they're going to deal with on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. You should at least have to have some type of degree, man.
What about our soldiers?
You should have to have been able to.
No.
Different?
Yes, because the rules of engagement are totally different.
And they know what they're volunteering for.
It's not so much that the rules of engagement are totally different when you're talking about war and
soldiers.
soldiers.
Going up into like, in other words, you're not policing.
Hey man,
you kill on the other side.
Right now in the Ukraine, the Russian soldiers have clear instructions. And we understand exactly why we're here. And to go against any of those instructions is to, like, what is it called? It's damn near treason, if you will. It's insubordination, and during times of war, you can be killed for it. A cop has to deal with way too many variables. You know what I mean? Which is making his point. You know, 18-year-old in education, like, you're asking an individual at 18, 19, 20, now sanctioned by the state, to be able to take the law into their own hands, which may even include a life. And they have to weigh that responsibility with, okay, now this person in this car, they have a felony on their record, but they hadn't gotten in trouble lately. May have been a violent offender, but they hadn't gotten in trouble lately. I see his whole arm moving a certain way. Oh, he's a black guy. I see a woman in the back seat crying. You know, all of this kind of stuff. I'm on the side of the road. It's late at night. It's 18-wheelers coming by me. My friend just got shot. You understand? That was
19-year-old.
You know what I mean? Like, you're asking. I'm not saying that all of those situations make the cop right for what they're doing. Right. I'm making his point of the type of stress that they're dealing with, time after time after time after time after time, for 12 hours straight, sometimes 14 hours straight, because they underpaid, just like teachers.
Yeah.
So, you know, I agree 100% with you, Devin. I think education is the biggest issue in that regard of law enforcement.
I'm not trying to send my kid to college to become a cop, though.
Well, you'd have to up the pay too.
That's what people would do. So you'd have to up the pay.
Then
maybe it would be more motivation to go get that little degree in law enforcement and go.
His wife won't get beat up as much now.
Right. Right.
Y'all laugh because it's true, but that's a sad truth.
Yeah.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
But anyways, in looking for what I found, and I didn't know this, and this has been around since 1977. Tomorrow, and every 15th of March, regardless of the day, is International Day Against Police Brutality. It's been around since '77. I ain't never heard about
March
it.
March the 15th.
I didn't know
every
that.
day. It started
today.
It started some anarchy group in Ukraine, in Belarus. Some dude on a train got jacked up or something, and they went against the government. And then from that day on, they started doing this every March 15th, and it's spread. It's just a global thing. This ain't just for us. This is all around the world. They said the things you can do to observe that is attend a rally, raise awareness, and donate. They got websites you can go to and you can donate for them and all that. But like I said, it's every year on that date. This year is Tuesday, next year is Wednesday. I guess the following year is a leap year, so it'll be Friday. But you can go and check that out. So International. What was that? International Day Against Police Brutality. That's
International
tomorrow.
Day, and that's tomorrow.
Yeah,
tomorrow
the 15th. Yeah.
That's funny.
Isn't that something? When I said, man, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
It's tomorrow.
Right on time.
Right.
Man, I was just looking up, like, in, one of the hardest places I think, to be a cop, like in California, right?
Oh, yes.
I was looking at how often they have to be psychologically evaluated. And they literally only have to do it on entry. And then the only other time is if there's a shooting, then they may be required to do one at that point.
Right.
But at that point,
it's too late.
Too fucking late. They've already done it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you send people out in the community who, number one, only have a high school education, again, and then you give them the green light with a weapon on their hip and a badge, and you send them out in the world, man, and you don't evaluate them ever so often, what the hell are you doing?
But then you want
it seems like that would be a no-brainer. Like, every so often, they have to be evaluated.
I don't have the money for this shit.
And then
right, Lowe's. Right. That's right.
Right.
But bullets and shit.
Nah, but they got
That's
money.
right.
But they buying tanks.
But they got money.
Right.
But they don't put the money to that.
But they got money to buy new vehicles.
You.
They got money to buy new. You
That's
know
one
what
of
I'm
those
saying?
You have police departments sending some of their excess equipment over to Ukraine right now.
Right. Right.
They got tanks. They got weapons. They got all kinds of stuff.
Obama gave it to him.
Like
when he gave him the body cameras, he gave it to him.
They can't pay for their.
But they can't pay for their police officers to be psychiatrically evaluated.
Come on, man. Right. That right there, to me, it kind of makes a statement.
Yeah.
Which makes the point that Los brought up when because the story is, or the topic is, what has changed since George.
Yeah.
And Los found some very interesting statistics in terms of the conviction rates of cops.
Okay.
Right. What was that? Okay, so they say since 2013 to 2021, it says 153 police officers, 1.7% were charged with a crime, and 0.4% were convicted. They showed a chart where it showed a whole bunch of people, say these are good cops. Of all these cops that fucked up, these 5 got charged with a crime, and this one got convicted. Like, in other words, 1 got convicted.
Right.
They do say that it's on a rise. Like you said, it's 3 3 per day.
Yeah.
And then now, that was a year ago. Now I think it's up to almost 5.9, which is almost 6 per day.
Wow.
In certain states, because they do say that 25 states saw a decrease, 19 an increase, and 7 states they didn't change. It was still the same. And this is last year, a year after George Floyd. They had that, and then what else? Here we go. This says 5 facts about police brutality that will blow your mind. That's not my words, it's theirs. Police brutality is on the rise. The number of documented police killings in the United States has doubled over the last 2 decades. Deadly firearms. About 67% of Americans are killed by police using their firearms. Child victims. About 200 American children at the age of 12 have been killed during an insurrection with the police since 2000. The perpetrator usually gets punished. Statistics show that 1% of the police-involved killings result in an arrest or indiction of the officer, which is nothing. And then this one here, the police are aware of police brutality. An estimated 84% of police reported they have witnessed fellow officers using more force than necessary.
84%.
84%.
So, like I said,
Of
there's no
them.
such thing as a good cop.
Exactly.
No, yeah, well, like we talked that one time. We're friends. I just saw you kill a kid that you shouldn't kill.
Wow.
I'm not gonna tell on him. You know that I'm gonna tell on him. It's like, man,
Which means you a fucked up cop.
that, or if I tell on him, I'm gonna get a call one day to these warehouses and I'm gonna get sniped by one of my own dudes.
Still makes you a fucked up cop.
You know, so it does. It doesn't change anything, but you know, even though it still makes me a fucked up cop, I gotta worry about me getting killed by these same motherfuckers.
But
So I gotta
that's
quit
what your
because of them
job
sorry
is, though.
motherfuckers.
Your job is to put
I'm
your
not
life
trying to
on
quit
the
my
line.
job over some sorry motherfucker that can't do his job and this place can't protect me. You
Your
know?
job is to put your life on the line as a police officer. So why be scared of the street? You know what I'm saying? You're not scared to get killed out there on the street.
Right.
You scared
Of
though if
his
you
own
tell on one of your
motherfuckers.
boys.
You're right.
So that lets you know right there. Everything you just said spells out corruption.
Pretty much, then that's how it is. And then this one here says why International Day Against Police Brutality is important. It says 1, it makes us aware of our rights. 2 is it teaches of justice and it's a day of hope. I mean, you gotta have hope somewhere, I guess, and that's why they have to have that. So, but anyways, yeah, tomorrow, if you didn't know, is International Awareness of Police Brutality against Police Brutality. Check out some information about it. Maybe you'll learn a little bit more as I have. So check it out.
So the verdict would be things either didn't change or rather haven't changed or have gotten worse. We would say since George, right?
I would say worse.
You would say worse?
I would say worse. Because to me, the fact that it hasn't changed is worse. In the light of everything that has happened in the last couple of years, y'all haven't made any progress. That just shows me that not only are you okay with how things are, but you're obstinate. You're literally standing in the way of progress as far as trying to, whenever we do try to make change to how things are done. I grant people that, a lot of folks didn't get behind the slogan of defund the police, but when you talk about what it actually was talking about doing, it's what we need. If you take the money and you shift it to other things, if you put it in community centers, if you put it into housing, you put it into different increasing the minimum wage so people can actually afford to live. If you take that same funds and you just redistribute it, a lot of the work that the police need to do is going to disappear because the people will be better taken care of.
I read a quote by, we're going to have this individual on the show, I think, if I remember correctly, it's on the calendar on the website, thedailysmoke.com, on December 7th. Her name is Carrie Lee Merritt, and she's a brilliant historian. And her quote was, well, the reason why we're not dealing with the demilitarization or the defunding of police is because if we did that, now we can adequately and fairly address America's gun problem.
Oh, yeah.
See how that takes you into money now?
Right.
You understand? Like,
It
makes sense, doesn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
That's a hell of a statement. That's
Always about money.
It's always about
that's a
money.
hell of a statement. That's a hell of a statement.
We were talking about the time change earlier, and we all know we just lost that hour of sleep, so we all feeling it right now. But the reason why we can't get rid of daylight saving time is because corporations don't want it.
It's always money. Isn't it?
It's always money.
So I want to kind of sum up.
Are you taking into account
Mm-hmm.
what happened in the beginning? Time wise?
Oh, and to go not so much against him, I would say by reading these stats,
Mhm.
in America,
Mhm.
when more than half of the states have it decreased, it must be getting somewhat better. Even though that's bullshit, but hey, 29 states, it decreased there. There's still some more to work on, so maybe we can get them all to start decreasing, and then we know that it changed. But for right now, no, it's still going on, just not as much in those states, but
But
not here.
to argue that point, Los, because even like I was saying before from the stats, yeah, you had a decrease in some states, but you also had increase in other states.
Right.
And that increase in other states
It sucked
kept
up
the
other
numbers
shit.
kept the numbers about the same.
Right, so it just sucked.
Yeah,
What y'all ain't killing, we'll kill over here.
Because from 2020 to 2021, the number actually still went up.
Right.
So even for those places where it increased, they was taking up the
They
slack
just
for their
sucked up-
boys.
Yeah, they just sucked up. We got these three.
All right, brothers. What I love about psychology is, and this is nothing. This isn't anything you're gonna learn from a book. This is something. What I'm about to tell you is something that you'll develop it when you start really developing your critical thinking and trying to figure out the root of a problem.
Right.
It's kind of like what psychology trains your mind to do. It focuses it in a specific direction. I want to sing a song, a little soliloquy. And this song is going to kind of sound a whole lot like the song I sang on reparations. And I dealt with a lot of numbers during reparations because that was the issue.
Right.
Why we haven't received it. Numbers. Okay. I started doing research on this issue, and I want to provide a backdrop. And the backdrop that I want to provide is going to include almost every single thing that every single person in this cast going live has stated or on the message boards have mentioned. So if you would be patient with me and follow me, I'm making a point.
Okay.
The source was the Lancet, the Lancet, the Lancet, Lancet.com. And the Lancet studied fatal police violence by race and state in the United States from 1980 to 2019. I got y'all attention, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
They did something called a network meta regression. Now, that's a statistical term, but if everyone hadn't taken statistics, let me tell you what that is a really good way of saying. A network meta-analysis or regression is a technique for comparing 3 or more interventions or variables simultaneously in a single analysis by combining both direct and indirect evidence across a network of sources.
Okay.
In layman's terms, whenever you want to study something and you want to be able to confidently talk about it, it has to be statistically significant. The way statistical significance is designed is whatever you're measuring for, it has to come above that number. If it comes above that number, you know you're onto some kind of truth. If it comes below it, it's not statistically significant.
Gotcha.
Statistics is a method of science where they say it is an objective approach using numbers to obtain some kind of truth of life or existence, whatever you want to call it. But here's the catch. Statistical significance is determined by what? You took it. What is statistical significance? What determines statistical significance?
I'm not sure, man, to be honest with you.
This is the number that determines that all of your testing and all of your measuring is weighed against. So if it comes above that number, it's significant. If it comes below it, it's not significant. The way that number is developed is what you set it at. So you can make your numbers fit what you're looking for.
Right. Right. Which sparked the conversation that me and you had about statistics.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's very important.
Very important.
That's very, very, very important.
Right, yeah.
I could do a whole show on that. I said that because one of the things that's very hard to prove in statistics is whatever you're measuring for or testing for or against, whatever you're looking at is something else influencing it that you're not giving an account for. So you may think I'm measuring the temperature of this water, and I may make an analysis to say I believe that water is a certain temperature because when I tested it, it came out above the statistically significant number, and that's the reason why it's happening. But you could have a very hot day that day, which is raising the temperature of the water that you're not giving an account for. Okay. Now, if that isn't difficult enough, because we have to understand meta regression in statistical terms in order to understand the conversation of what's going on with cops.
Right.
So, you have a hard enough time isolating whatever variable that's under observation against things that may influence it that would throw off your measurements. What they're saying here is statistics has gotten to a point so well, absolutely, son, absolutely. Statistics has gotten so well, depending on what you're measuring for, they can take multiple variables that have been tested for in different statistical studies, and whatever they were looking for, they can bring that variable into this test, that variable into this test, that variable into this test. And the variables that you're trying to test for will have the same amount of influence, if any, that the original individuals that was testing for it in their isolated test experienced. The reason you want to do that is because now you're trying to find patterns.
Okay.
So these patterns you can make with a fair degree of confidence and say, step out and say, here's the problem. Because we went to 3 different unrelated tests and looked at the results that they measured for. And we put those same variables in the same test and added the same rigor. And whatever the patterns are that came out, you can pretty much determine that's a truth.
Right, gotcha.
Or a fact. At the very minimum, at the very least, it's a fact. At the most, it could be a truth, but we only got 4 truths in life. Thank you, Einstein.
Okay.
All right. Or laws. It could be a law. Okay, all right. Now, if we all understand it, and I know our audience, I know this may be boring, but if you stick with me, I promise we're going to make sense. Here we go. In 2019, the U.S. accounted for 95% of the global deaths related to police encounters, conflicts, or executions, while only accounting for 4% of the entire global population.
Wait, run that back for me one more time.
Yes, sir.
That's rough.
Right?
I'm showing you where you live.
It's rough.
Right.
I'm showing you where you live.
So
I'm showing you where you live.
4% of the population.
We as a total 400 million people account for only 4% of the entire global population.
Right.
But the numbers of deaths added up from every single country on every single continent throughout this blue planet of ours, we account, our country alone, of 300 to 400 million people for 95% of those deaths. Ooh, let's talk tonight. Let's talk about police brutality tonight.
God damn.
Let's talk about police brutality tonight.
We got the worst one.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about it.
The worst
See,
one.
yes, sir. I got 10 minutes. I promise I'll make it count. So, if I go a little bit fast, I only got 10 minutes. Our producer gonna cut me off. I don't want that. So I really only got 7 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So here we go, brothers. Okay. So here we go. Black men, as a result of the test that I just all told you about, that the Lancet had discovered, had tested for, black men are 2 to 5% times more likely to be killed by cops than white males. Black women, 1 to 4 times than white women. As a result of that, this is the conclusion they drew. As the result of the system's direct racism manifested in laws, policies, and personal biases of those executing the law. Now, I told y'all, you got to understand how the system thinks. And if you're not aware of how the system thinks, when you jump out on those kinds of conclusions without saying what I'm about to say, they're not gonna take you serious.
Yeah.
They're gonna say you're emotional.
A new station alert has arrived.
Damn, CIA, y'all got all our numbers.
I can't stop.
You know what I'm
that.
saying? FBI got all our
my
numbers.
phone was actually down. They want you to make sure you get them alerts, so they let me know, yo, you better shut down.
No doubt, right? We're on the grid. So here we go. The reason that is because of the conclusion stated.
Right.
But we're not taking one thing into consideration. What is the population of black people in America?
With 13% of the population.
Well, if you don't know these numbers, that means that 87% are individuals not us,
Right.
or identify as us. Okay. Which means if most cops, and now I'm gonna take just a leap. I may be totally wrong, and I'm up for that, but the numbers won't lie. If most cops are white and or Hispanic, or identify as white and or Hispanic, that means off the bat, men, women, and children that are black or identify as black, you have 87% of the population against you off the bat. Okay. Now, out of that 87%, the number of individuals that are cops that are white,
Or potentially, yes, you say that because you know people get
that are pretty sure,
Yeah.
that are potentially against you. I'm sorry. Okay. But then again, the numbers don't lie.
Right,
I mean, I'm not going to lie.
right.
I'm not going to pacify nobody's feelings.
Right.
You understand?
Mhm.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying white folks are the devil. I'm not saying they're the problem. I'm talking about strictly numbers. Because that's the point I'm finna make to their benefit.
Right.
The reason more blacks or minorities die at the hands of white people that are in law enforcement than the reverse is because there are more white people in the population than the number of black people.
Right.
So if you're going to pull from the remainder of the population that is white and they go into law enforcement, that number is going to always be higher than the number of minorities you're going to pull from, i.e. particularly black people, which only make up 13.7% of your entire population. So the number is going to always be higher because you have more white people pointing guns at a lesser number of black people.
Right.
Not necessarily because they're racist. Off the bat. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just looked it up. 64.9% of cops in the U.S. are white.
Damn, I was off by 20% roughly. Or a little bit less.
6.49%. And
That's about right.
16,
That's about right.
16.8
And the
Hispanic
rest
or Latino.
Damn.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay, let's ride with that. See, numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the number? 60 what percent?
64% white,
Okay,
16% Hispanic or Latino,
okay, and I'm pretty sure blacks are probably underneath Latino.
12%.
Bam, because it's more of them.
That's
It's a numbers
population
game.
control, yeah.
See, we got to build this argument if we're gonna have an argument.
Right.
Okay, so that means 60% versus 16%, or what was it?
For
Black
blacks.
people, yeah.
12.
12. Oh God. 12. You have 12% cops that are black, 60-something% cops that are white. More black people are going to die at their hands than if you try to reverse it. If you try to reverse it, you're looking at a Holocaust, to be honest with you. But since that ain't gonna never happen,
Right.
that ain't gonna never happen,
No.
then of course, those numbers are gonna always look like that. So they can come to you and say, "Man, it's all in your head. It's a numbers game. It's more white cops than black people." And you know, that's why more of you all die.
But
right,
when you 3 times more likely to be shot by a cop just for being black, and that's a fact.
okay, so then you start dealing with. That's a good point. That was the point that Los was alluding to in terms of de-escalating situations. Right. You have to know what you're dealing with. You have to know who you're dealing with. You have to know who you are and the situation you're in. You have to be aware of your surroundings as a black man or woman or a person of color in this country, and those blue lights go off on you behind you. You have to be aware of that. Right. And depending on how you engage, you can escalate the situation to where they already want to take it. But you can escalate it or de-escalate it. I'm a personal witness of it. I'm not saying that I'm the poster child. I'm saying it's a possibility. I think behaviors on both behalves can contribute to those volatile situations. I'm being fair.
Right.
Okay. Here we go. The Global Bureau of Disease, Injuries, and Risk Factors include the following variables when measuring deaths due to police conflict and executions: the number of civilians killed by police killed by civilians, and government-led executions.
Okay.
And by the way, this is an organization by Bill and Melinda Gates. They killing us on one end and trying to save us on the other. Ain't that interesting? Okay, so we'll keep going.
Okay.
All right.
That's their black friend.
You know, all right. You know, right. That's right. You got to do something for us, Bill. You got too much money.
I got a black friend.
That's their black friend.
So police violence is defined by the GBD, the Global Bureau of Disease, Injuries, Risk Factors, is defined by them as police-related altercations that actually lead to death or bodily harm. The data is disaggregated, meaning what they do is when you disaggregate something, you're picking it apart. Right. And so what they wanted to find out was, are there any real differences between, the ethnicities of individuals in this country in those same identical situations? These are smart people, y'all. What they did was they broke the data sets down into race and ethnicity. I highly suggest if you don't know why they would do that, you educate yourself on the difference. Right. That's very important. Race and ethnicity. Now, here's the evidence before the study. The data presented was subject to something called vital registration systems that were used to report the incidences on the behalf of the cops. When they shot somebody, they killed somebody, they hurt somebody, they pulled somebody over, they arrested somebody, et cetera, et cetera. They got the information from the vital registration systems, okay? All right. The way the vital registration systems classify violence is that the incident is subject to how law enforcement agencies classify violence. Now we're starting to see a picture of the devil.
Right.
Now we're starting to see him peek from behind the window, or the curtain rather, because the way the statistics are implemented into the vital registration systems is how police law enforcement classify violence. Problem number one. Problem number one. Let's go. Race and police violence have been areas of society so contentious that Black Lives Matter was the first organization to go forward and say, man, this is a public health crisis. Mm-hmm. You heard that about COVID.
Yeah.
You heard that about polio, depending on how old you are. You heard that about AIDS in the 80s. But here we have racism and police violence should be considered a public health crisis.
Wow.
You may say, well, what about in Europe? Because this brother and I both lived in Europe before. Let me tell you how they do it in Europe. It's the same devil. It's just an opposite twist on it. European countries' data of police violence are considered more reliable because the agency committing the behaviors are centralized by whatever their police force is. Meaning their police force in London is not a private police force. They report to the same individuals or oversight committee or part of the same organization that if you're up in Durham or Newcastle or in Scotland. You understand?
Right.
So they say, well, the people that do the violence are not separate from the individuals that are investigating the violence.
It's like I said before, cops
Right.
investigating cops.
Right. Right? So now you're looking at a centralized bureau that is, son is on it. You're looking at a centralized bureau that says, hey man, we ain't nothing in it for us. If we beating up a whole lot of Turkish people or whatever, then the cop that did it, they're going to be held to account by the organization that's over them, and we're overseeing all of these incidences. Well, what you just said was, y'all a real big fraternity now. That's really what you said.
Right.
So that's really no better than if you come to America and you have the what is it? I think you named it earlier. The affairs, internal affairs,
yeah.
internal affairs.
Same shit.
Or if you have individuals that are outside of these organizations, like the organization in question, the Lancet is talking about. If you have a private external entity, and they say, well, we should be more objective when looking at this because we're not part of that. So we can measure this a whole lot better, right and wrong. Right, because of scientific inquiry. Wrong, because they're giving you the numbers.
Right.
That's where I'm trying to get you to.
Right. I get what you're saying.
That's where I'm trying to get you to.
Right.
If I can keep going, give me 3 more minutes, brother. I promise I'll be done.
I
Now,
can get you that.
thank you, brother. Thank you so much. So here we go. In America, the National Center for Health Statistics collect the data, but heavily relies on the death certificates for cause of death reported by the coroner. Ooh, this is a deep
my
beast.
God. It's
This
like,
is
come
a
on.
deep beast.
Come on.
Man, I got to take a break for 1 second. I got to tell y'all something. I tell people all the time. I mean this from my heart. If you're going to deal with America, you got to see how deep it goes.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with this stuff, if you're marching, don't misunderstand me, that's good. You got a gun, you want to protect yourself, that's good. Don't misunderstand me. But if you really knew how deep and expansive and modernized our military is, if you knew and how merciless these men and women are, it would almost paralyze you from fear.
That's right.
Don't think they have it there and not in the judicial system. Don't think they have it in the judicial system and the military and not in the healthcare.
Yeah.
Don't think they have it there and it's because of by accident. Hey man, this piece of dirt we own is not here by accident.
Right. But we crazy for saying racism is systemic.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, here we go. The coroner detects it. So now if you want to look at police reform, you have to deal with the attitudes of the behavior of the individuals committing the crime. You have to deal with whatever individual crises they may have had. They wife and them just got into an argument, they on their way to work and they finna take it out on you. Or pre-existing health conditions, psychological stability. All of this. If you're able to get past that part, and they kill you on national TV, George Floyd, rest in peace, the coroner still ruled the death in favor of the police department.
Right.
That's why there are 2 autopsies. And the only one that is official is the one that the county coroner does. Now you can get a private one and you can try to get some money out of this. But in terms of systemic change, look at everything you have to deal with.
Everything that would have to be fixed.
Look at everything that would have to be fixed. Farrakhan said a long time ago, man, the cop that pulled you over and killed you, and they pull him in a court of law, he's standing in front of his brother and sister, the judge.
That's right.
He's showing you
Right.
how deep it is.
Right.
If you never once in your mind, you may have said, oh man, yeah, the coroner, they're on the side of the cops, they're going to rule because they don't want the cops to be guilty or whatever. Let's say that is true like these people are saying it's true. Look at how deep. This is past racism. You're dealing with systemic issues. You're dealing with what this brother said earlier. Now you're dealing with power. And whenever you start confronting power, get ready to get assassinated.
Right.
Let me add something to that real quick. One of my friends by the name of Poe, he's watching, right? What's up, man?
What's up, brother? Thank you for watching,
Poe?
man.
He
Thank you.
he sent this in. He said, he told me to read number 3. It said, let me tell you where this is coming from. It says it's
The other
it's-
black friend.
it's a dictionary. It's called a citizen or something like that, right? On number 3 of what it's saying, it says all natives are not citizens of the United States. The descendants of the Aborigines and those of African origin are not entitled to the rights of citizens anterior to the adoption of the Constitution of the United States. Each state had the right to make citizens of such persons as it pleased. The Constitution does not authorize any but white persons to become citizens of the United States, and it must therefore be presumed that no one is a citizen who is not white. And then he went on to say, now this is his words, he says, this is part of the reason why they don't charge most officers for killing us. What do you think about that?
I answer that with my conclusion. That's a very good point, Brother Poe.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for watching as well. Thank you, son, for watching as well. The son, thank you for watching, man. Because anytime we get like a new viewer or whatever that they may be here, but
actually the son, I just realized that's him.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. God bless you. Absolutely. God bless you. Here's why cops get off. We just got through talking about the National Center for Health Statistics, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Lancet found the National Center for Health Statistics misclassifications were extensive from 1980 to 2018. 17,100 deaths went unreported. Uh-oh.
A lot of numbers you forgot.
Sure, go ahead, brother.
I was just gonna say, by the way, that was a legal dictionary.
No problem. No
Yeah,
problem.
I just wanted to
No problem.
clear that
And to the quick answer to that is that's why I always say if you want to see real change in this country, the first thing you have to do is rip up the Constitution.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you were not white, male, Protestant with land,
Right.
you couldn't even be a part of the system that they ran from because of taxes.
Right.
And started this and did every single thing here against women and people of color that they was running from over there. So you're dealing with the same man, they just want to play by a different contract. That's my answer. All right. So 17,100 deaths went unreported. 642 deaths out of 1,240 black deaths were missing. And even the non-reporting of deaths of black by police were severely misclassified versus other ethnicities. I'm showing you where you live.
Right.
Because if it ain't about color, the numbers should add up.
Right.
You should see
Right.
this instead of this.
Right.
Okay. Blacks went underreported 58%. Hispanics, we only 8 above y'all, dog. 50%. White people, the misclassifications, 32.6. What is the conclusion? More blacks were killed 3 to 5 times higher than whites at the hands of police. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
In 2019, blacks died more to police violence than from environmental heat, exposure to cold, Hodgkin lymphoma, testicular cancer, appendicitis, and STDs combined.
What?
Now, I said all that to say this. You can't tell me ain't no racism.
That's right.
That's the problem. Racism and power.
From the root.
That is the power. And just like we was the target when they went to Africa looking for people to work this land, we are still the target.
Yep.
Don't tell me it's not intentional when you had an independent study that showed you where half of the people that died, you couldn't even get any justice because the police didn't report it. And there's no problem with that.
Right.
There's no oversight committee
There's no
for that.
repercussions for that.
Ask the FBI under Obama's administration when the Attorney General went to go to deal with in what was it, Ferguson, what was
Missouri.
it? Ferguson, Missouri. What the black kid got killed.
Yeah.
Hey man, they looked at the records. You know why the records looked the way that they did? Because all the federal government does is to say, state, are these the numbers? Yes. Thank you. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
What does the state do? Police officers,
Give us the numbers.
what happened? This is what happened. How many people did it equal? 13,000. Oh my God. But how many did you report? 6,000. Right. The 6,000 that you reported, were they cops by suicide? Yeah, he was acting in a certain way.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now you got to deal with that.
That's
Right. You understand what I'm saying? That Everybody Is My Song. Thank y'all for listening to my little soliloquy.
That boy good. That boy good.
Police brutality. And the reason why things ain't changed, because we still ain't got enough time to even look at the numbers since George Floyd died in 2020 and it's 2022.
They don't have them all the way.
They ain't got them up yet. The ones they ready to lie about.
Because they don't want to report.
Don't
those.
believe nothing they say. Nothing.
Right.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nah.
That's all I gotta say.
Man, hey man, good information.
Yeah, man, for real.
For real, bro.
Yeah.
For real. We here for a reason.
Yeah,
We here for a reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to our audience real quick because one thing that I love is that we have an intelligent audience.
We really do.
You know, and that makes doing this show
We really
so
do.
much more interesting because we love to, even if you don't call in, although we would love it if some of y'all would call in. We love seeing the comments in the chat, so thank y'all for that. The son, Burley,
Leah.
yeah, Leah,
Tawana was there.
Tawana was in there. All of y'all, thank you so much
Everybody else.
for
Thank you.
participating in our show. We appreciate that.
Thank you for watching. God bless y'all.
Most definitely.
And I want to throw out a special shout out. And this is all I'm going to say about this. I think we have the best show that most people have never even heard of.
I
agree.
Too, man.
I think I could not pick
do.
a better four other individuals on any level to work with.
Yeah.
Because this show has been tried, y'all. Y'all don't even know it. We have been tried.
Yeah,
And we overcame it.
most definitely.
And I saw and interpreted that trial as if we can get through that, anything or anybody that want to come at us out from outside and attack and cancel and throw out bad words and lie on us and all of that, we are strong enough to get through that.
Absolutely.
That's why we survived what we went through.
Absolutely.
Here's a hand clap to each and every one of us. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. And thank everybody for watching. Thank you.
Continue watching,
Most
share,
thank
like,
you.
subscribe, tell everybody.
Yeah, man.
Come
Please.
check us out. We
please
just
like,
getting
share,
back. We just getting
subscribe.
started.
Yeah, we are. We just getting started, man. We only a year deep. We're only a year deep. We still babies. You know what I'm saying? So we growing and this is gonna grow and do a whole lot more. What you say?
Nothing.
I can imagine that. Babies.
Hey, but y'all be sure to join us on Wednesday night.
Yes. And Tuesdays. Y'all got y'all
Well,
show?
I was gonna get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm
No,
sorry.
no,
Okay.
you straight though. But on Tuesdays and for more serious topics like this, we talk about things like this on Wednesday nights, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays we have a little bit more fun. Me and this brother here and Bobby and Los. We usually do the smoke session, so we have a little more fun on those. So tune in on Tuesdays and Thursday nights,
That's
and then
our
on
nerd
Fridays. On Fridays.
Got the
Oh, yeah.
recap.
On
Recap,
Fridays.
the TGIF edition. You gotta come check that one out because you don't know what you're gonna get with
No,
me.
you do
Yeah,
not.
So
No,
check
you
it out.
do
But I
not.
will recap the week and tell you what's coming up. And other than that, I'm not gonna apologize because I don't really give a fuck if you like what I say.
So that
watch
right
this
there
shit.
lets you know what you in for.
You know what I'm saying? Watch it.
But
Cancel me.
But 5 nights a week, folks, we got y'all.
Yes, sir.
7 p.m. Central Time, 5 nights a week. Check us out.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate y'all for being here. We love y'all. Continue to follow us.
They
spread
scared,
the
Cody,
word, man.
scared.
And don't forget, go to the website, man. Look at the bottom. and read that. Go to that Stand for the Silent, and go to that website, man, and listen, read some of those things on there, and give a donation, man. We really need people to support that, man. You know what I'm saying? That whole thing is about kids and suicide and bullying. All right.
Yeah.
So y'all go check that out. That's on our website. Towards the bottom, towards the very bottom, Stand for the Silent. There's a link on there that'll take you directly to his website. All right, so we're about to go ahead and call this a night, man. And I am your boy Big Ruck.
Brother Los.
My brother Ron, the one that'll run all the liars up out of here.
Man.
I do that because they always laugh. That's my number one fan.
And that's your boy Bishop over there, man. And we are the Daily Smoke.
And we are out.
Peace.
We time.